Welcome back to Kettlebells and Cocktails. I'm your host, John, back with my bestie, Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I say this with all love, like you're my sister. You look tired, girl.
I am exhausted. I'm like looking at myself in this being like, dang, she haggard.
See,
Don't
I'm going to
watch
get
this
hate
on
from people for
YouTube,
saying
fam.
that, but I love you enough to be able to say that. And I'm probably one of the few who can get away with it besides maybe Matt.
1,000%. Absolutely. I remember that meme. Well, I mean, that's a really hard question to ask you, isn't it?
Oh,
But
I
like my
remember which
favorite
one you're talking
meme,
about.
you know what, the Britney Spears one?
Hmm.
It's my favorite meme that you've ever done.
Yeah,
Ever. A
and
thousand
I
percent.
caught so
That
much
is
hell for that. They're like, "I can't believe you're making fun of Nikki for wearing makeup," and I'm like, you guys don't even
They
understand."
don't even know. And it doesn't it like totally fit right now too, because like, I come off event weekends and I got a spray tan before I went. I like did my hair and makeup every day. And then we get back on this podcast and I'm like, oh, I just woke up. What's up?
Oh, bro, I got home from Miami, and the first day I was comatose. I mean,
Yeah.
literally the day after. So I get up in the morning, full intention. I was smart enough to take the day off of work. That was
Oh,
one.
wow. I'm jealous.
Yeah, that was the one. I'm a pro. I've done this before. I knew what that week was going to look like, and so
Yeah,
I
you
took
knew.
I took the day off of work. I get home. I had every intention of getting up early, making breakfast, getting right back into my routine. Right, like right back in it.
Mhm.
I get up, make a pot of coffee, can't leave the couch except for coffee. Coffee
Well,
does no good,
oh
none.
no,
I mess
no.
I messaged my coach. I'm like, I'm not coming to the noon class. We had a call, like a call scheduled for the gym at 1:30, and for some business stuff. And I'm like, I'll come in the afternoon.
Okay.
And yeah, that didn't happen. Like I didn't move until almost 4 p.m. Swear to
Oh.
God, it was
Now, was
rough.
that
Like,
from being sore from the gauntlet or from travel or just from
oh
being
no, no, I was
hungover? Like,
I was fine from the gauntlet. Like I had, I'm sure we'll get into that. I was like so fully trained and ready to go. Like I had a little bit of soreness the day after, and then I was fine after that. The hardest working member of my entourage in Wadapalooza was my liver, and that was the problem.
mm,
We did a lot of drinking. I should say I did a lot of drinking, and it's not my fault. I'm walking through the hotel, and inevitably somebody will go, "Oh, look, it's the meme guy. Come over here." Next thing you know, they're buying me drinks, and
can't say
I'm
no.
can't say no. And then
Definitely
I'm
can't
staying
say
out till
no.
2 in the morning, and
Yeah.
sitting at the hotel bar in the Intercontinental, which is a pretty nice hotel bar. And I like chatting with people. I like finding out about their
Yeah.
lives and where they're from, and next thing you know, man, you're 3 or 4 drinks deep, and you go to bed and you play that game of, all right, I'm gonna lay down and we're gonna see if this room is gonna spin or not.
Oh,
And
God.
it never did. It never did. So
Hey, you're a professional.
I'm a pro, but I lead a moderately healthy life for the most part, and 4 or 5 days in a row I'm like, yep, I'm feeling my age now. This is
Yep.
I can't
Yep.
can't party like I was 25, so it was rough. So
Do you think you're going to get back to the routine that you had, which was at first, I would say like focused around the gauntlet, but now, I mean, there's other stuff.
oh
There's the
yeah.
open and whatever, but there's also just getting used to it and living that way.
Just life, yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's funny you say that. So the goal all along has not been the gauntlet. The goal all along has been the open.
got it.
The gauntlet was just kind of a pass through. So like the thought was initially, last year during the open, I did really well in the open. I want to say I was 87th, 88th percentile. So I missed um, quarterfinals by a small number. And
Right.
of those 3 workouts, I think I only did one of them twice. Like I was kind of one and done. And so I had a little bit of a regret because I didn't really train for the open last year. Like, I mean, other than just my normal everyday training. And so I went to my coaches back in, it would have been late August, and was looking for nutrition training because I wanted to, or nutrition coaching because I wanted to get through Christmas without coming out the other side full of ho-hos and cookies and 10 pounds heavier than I wanted to be.
Like the
And
rest of us.
yeah, and so the goal was get me ready for the open. And so they started training me, and that turned into the gauntlet. And so now that the gauntlet's over, I'm right back into the routine. I mean, like The only thing I did on Monday when I was back, or smartly did on Tuesday actually, was I had groceries delivered because I was too tired to go to the
Mhm.
grocery store. And swear to God, I delivered like 4 pounds of chicken and rice and vegetables. And I've been on the chicken and rice train all week long, like right back into my leading with protein nutrition and Greek yogurt and kind of getting back after it in the gym. So right
Great.
now the goal is the open. That's it.
That's awesome. I think that's I love that. That's great.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm kind of excited for the open. There's other part of me that's like, the open creates anxiety for me a little bit. So it's just the unknown, So it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just nervous anxiousness is the best way to think of it. But I trust Boz. He does a great job programming, and I bet it's fun. And I
Totally.
always have fun in the open. So right now I'm just like, my coach is like, "You're ready," and I'm like, "Am I though?
Am
Am I?
I?
Am I?"
I did you see the cute little characters that CrossFit made this year for the open?
Yes.
Where
Yep.
it's like one of them is anxious
Anxious
Annie or
Annie. Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's totally me too. But I will say that I have much less anxiety now that it's 3 weeks and not 5 or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that. 5 seems a little long to me. I know people miss the 5 weeks, and there are parts of it
Who?
are fun. But I
Who
think there are a
misses
lot
the
of
5
people
weeks?
there are a lot of
Really?
people. Well, I mean, when you think about it, you pay your money and you used to get 5 weeks and now you get 3, and so I'm sure there are plenty of people that are like, cost average that, and they're like, "All right, well, I'm losing money in the deal." I always thought 5 was a bit much on my body because those, you're talking about going to the red line 5 times,
Yeah.
and I don't do that in any month, let alone
No.
during the open,
Right.
so 3 is better on my body. I also think you can absolutely figure out who's going should go to quarterfinals in 3 workouts
Yeah,
if you program it correctly. Now you can absolutely screw it up and get the wrong people in quarters, but I think that Boz is kind of a genius when it comes to programming, so I'm sure it'll be
seriously.
fine. I
Yeah.
don't
No,
have
I totally
any
agree.
doubts that he'll get it right. But
Fun. That'll be good.
yeah.
So you're not gonna scale this year in the open?
No, no, no. I'm trying to make quarters. I'm an RX, so whatever
Let's
happens,
do it.
happens, I guess. I
Let's
mean,
do it.
this is as fit as and strong as I've ever been. So I say that sure, like humbly, like I'm not like bragging, like I'm super fit. It's just like I feel the best I've ever felt.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I think the gauntlet was a good indication that I should do well. I mean, I was competing against younger people, and I thought my placement was good, and I had 3 of those 5 workouts I did real well in, and one not as well as I would have liked to, arguably, and the other one was a mental error. So Elise says, "Congrats, thanks, Elise, appreciate it." Yeah, so it's just it's a learning lesson, and so hopefully that carries over to the gauntlet. But you never.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, over to the open, but you never know. You never know.
We haven't published those episodes that we recorded live yet,
Nope.
right? Okay, cool.
Nope.
So let's another recap. I think we did get to record a couple episodes live while we were there, and we did talk about like John's experience and what was going on in the gauntlet. But since those haven't aired yet, can you tell the people what they want to know? How did you place? How did you do?
Yeah, so I finished 11th out of like 63. I had 3
That's
top 10
huge.
finishes. Yeah, 3 top
Yay.
10 finishes, which I was really excited about. 2 that were in the top 5. Or actually in the top 3, which I felt really good about that. It was a weird experience. I'll just go through them. Like the first workout was a 3-rep front squat. It was supposed to be from the rack, and when we got there, they're like, "Well, we don't have racks, so you're doing it from the floor."
Oh shit, that
And
changes a lot.
yeah, it did. And it actually, that was the event. Like originally going in, like front squats are not really my jam, but I'm like, I'm in the scale division, so I'll just hope for the best. I was kind of hoping for the 50th percentile, thinking that, there are others just going to be some big boys in there that'll be stronger than me, but I'll be able to outpace them in cardio because I'm not as big. Like
Sure.
that's kind of how the open works, right? Like in a 3-week open, if you have a heavy lift, all the big boys lift really heavy, but they can't do shit in cardio typically. Like they're bad at
Yeah.
double unders and handstand push-ups and the things I kind of excel in. So that's what I was hoping for. So when I went out there in the warm-up area, we were warming up, just doing squat cleans at like 185, 195. Felt really good. But the gap between the warm-up area and the floor was about 15 to 20 minutes, right? And so in my mind, I'm like, all right, what I want to do is go out and make one lift. It's that you have 6 minutes to establish this 3 reps. So I'm like, I'm going to make one lift. I'm going to go not as heavy as I can, but heavy enough that it won't impact me in a scaled division, because there should not be a lot of people around me that are going to outlift me and beat me in those other areas, right?
Okay.
Just
Okay.
calculated risk. And so I went out on the floor. I loaded the bar at 200, hit my lift, and was done. And then I had basically 5 minutes to rest. Where that was a mistake is there were a whole bunch of boys out there lifting at like 275 and were really good at cardio.
Oh.
So, I don't want to say they didn't belong in the scale division, but at 275, maybe you need to consider intermediate. It's just my opinion, because I am nowhere, like, I don't even like to deadlift 275, let alone clean it. But so if I had lifted what I'm capable of, which is easily 225, it would have given me an additional 15 points or something, which would have been enough to get me to the finals, because I missed the finals by 7 points.
Which, is that good or bad?
Well, no, it's not bad, because
Because
then I didn't want to do anything on Saturday. I wanted to drink and party on Friday.
right,
So it was
right.
fine. So that was the first event. Second event was, I finished third in the second event. It was 3 hang snatches, 3 overhead squats, 30 drag rope singles. And then it goes 6 and 6 and 30, 9 to 9 and 30, 12 and 12 and 30, and so on and so forth. I got through, if I remember right, the round of 18, and it was like a 9-minute time cap. So you got to hustle, like you got to move. And it's really just like, it isn't that you have to hustle, you just can't stop. Does that make sense? Like, and you have to take smart breaks to not exhaust yourself in areas. It's kind of like, I went into it on the same theory of how you do DT, right? Where you have 12 deadlifts, 9 and 6, and you should break at 11. So you only have to do one more deadlift and then right into the hangs. That's how I treated it. And it seemed to pay off. It was right in the heat of the day, 3 p.m. It was hot as balls out there. And, looking back on it, I mean, I'm really happy with the placement, so I'm not going to complain, but I exhausted myself, like in the heat. Like, I didn't anticipate how that heat would feel compared to here in Ohio. Like, there's a huge difference, like, again, it sounds like an excuse, but it's not really an excuse. Like, it's just part of the game. And, I've been training here in Ohio in a gym where it's, inside the gym it's 45 degrees and outside it's 20 degrees. So,
right.
I have not felt the heat. And, I know I appear as if I'm just sunbaked all the time, but I'm really not.
Constantly.
So it was rough. So I really exhausted myself. And then, so going into the next workout, which was 21, 15, 9, 6, 3 of sandbag cleans or D-ball cleans at 70 pounds and burpees over a 18-inch hurdle. That was the event. Bluntly, I thought, all right, I can go out and get a top 5 finish in this. And I finished 31st. Like, it was so hot.
No shit.
I'm sitting there and this is like, that's the only one of the 5 workouts I actually tested.
Huh.
Like, I knew my time going in. I'm like, all right, I should be sub 11 minutes. I should be, around the 10-minute mark. The guy who won it finished at like 9:31. So I would have been, if I had done what I did in testing, I would have been there, but it was so hot. Like, at some point I looked down at my watch, and because I had my heart monitor on, and it was running like 176 beats per minute. Now, keep in mind, I normally run at about 145. So an extra 30 beats per minute means you are overheating, and I'm like holding my knees, and my coach is yelling at me, and I literally just I don't even look at her, just hold my hand out to the side, and I'm like, shut up, Jen. Like, I'm not, nope, not moving. I can't move any faster. And it took me like almost 14 and a half minutes against a 15-minute time cap. So, I finished right in the middle of the pack and beat the time cap, but man, it sucks so bad. And then you get like, I want to say it was probably a 4.5 minute break, because of the 30 seconds at the end of that workout, and then another 4 minutes. And you go into a 1,000-meter row. And it was on an assault rower, which, by the way, the assault rower sucks. It is so hard. But I was expecting that to be probably one of my best events, because I've got long arms, long legs. I'm tall, or for a CrossFitter, I'm tall. And And I had smartly gone and talked to the people at the assault booth because I've never ridden an assault rower. Like when I found out they were assault rowers, I actually texted the owner of Assault, Tracy, who's been on our show. And I'm like, hey, Tracy, can you tell me the differences between the C2 and the assault rower? And she's like, yeah, ours is better and the seat's more comfortable. I'm like, not what
Hmm.
I'm looking for.
Not
Yeah,
helpful, but okay,
yeah, not
cool.
helpful, but I appreciate your confidence. And so I I went to the guy who runs the booth and I'm like, hey, tell me about this thing. And he's like, it's
Yeah.
all leg drive. He's like, it has no dampener. It's just leg drive. You can't game it. You just have to go hard. Just find a pace and stick with it.
Oh,
And I'm
but I
like,
love to game it. That's the only
yeah.
way I row.
Well, that was the thing that, like I have like 3 or 4 different movements I can do on a C2 rower to make it move and still come in the time I wanted. And everyone's done 1,000-meter row before if you've done CrossFit for any amount of time. So I kind of had a sense of where I should come in, but I knew it would be slower. So I'm sitting on this rower and I am dying. Like it's like
Mm.
1,000 degrees. I've just overheated in event 3. I'm like, there's like all that self-doubt's coming in. You'll never finish this in the time you want. Like, and then some woman walked by with a big cart or a big handful of cold bottled water. And I could tell they were cold because they're all beaded with sweat. And I
Yeah.
tapped my judge on the shoulder. I'm like, get me one of those bottles of water. And this dude, man, he's like a lifesaver. He ran over and grabbed me one and I chugged it and I felt my entire core body temp drop
Yeah.
like almost immediately. And I'm like, all right, it's on. Let's go.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, I finished second overall in the row. I won my heat. That was like, of all the events, that was the cool moment. And the only way I can like describe it is, you're rowing and I knew I'm getting close and I'm looking around to side because there's tall guys on either side of me that I knew should be rowing pretty well. And I'm looking and everybody's still rowing. And I know I'm real close. And I finish and the judge throws his hand up and I hear the announcer go, we have an unofficial winner on lane 4. And I'm on lane 4. And I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. I just want to heat.
Hell yeah.
So I thought that was cool. That was a really cool moment.
I wish I was there to do an interview.
They weren't allowing interviews. And then we got to the 5th workout and I had a strategy for this one. So this one was an interesting workout. It was, basically 3 rounds, but it was an AMRAP and you would start
Okay.
over if you finish the 3rd round, but I knew no one would finish the 3rd round. 12-minute AMRAP. First round was 11 dumbbell bench at 50 pounds. So 2 dumbbells at 50 each. 2 rope pulls from the ground. So we weren't doing rope climbs. We were doing rope pulls, which I thought was a little weird, but they're super easy. And then you do 33 pull-ups. In the 2nd round, you repeat the first 2 movements, and then you do 22 chest to bar pull-ups. And in the
Ew.
3rd round, you repeat the first 2 movements and you do 11 muscle ups, bar muscle ups. And
In
so
the
my
scale
theory,
division?
yep, yep.
Mm.
And so, yeah, that's what I said. That's why I thought the rope pulls were weird. I'm like, you got rope pulls, but you're still going to ask us to do muscle ups. I'm like, all right. So my theory is that, all right, well, very few people in the scale division will be able to do muscle ups. So all I need to do is pace this thing, keep my heart rate down, and be ready to do at least 1 muscle up. That
Yeah.
was my entire game plan from start to finish. I think my judge probably thought I was so exhausted I couldn't move, but that wasn't the case. Like I was doing my bench unbroken, and then I'm taking long breaks on all of my pull-ups in every set. And I think, my judge is like, oh, what's wrong with this guy? But I was pacing myself trying to get to that 11-minute mark so I could do muscle ups at 11 minutes. And I did. And I got a muscle up at 11 minutes and had a 10th place finish for 1
There you
muscle
go.
up.
Yeah.
And truthfully, like 2 or 3 muscle ups would only have gotten me a couple of extra points. So it would not have moved me up enough on the leaderboard to make a huge difference to get me into the finals. But it did make a big difference between finishing 11th and finishing 18th or
Yeah.
19th, something like that. So, and something pretty cool about getting a muscle up in front of a crowd. I
Hell
mean,
yeah.
I'll be honest, I stayed on top of the bar a little longer than I should have. I probably should have come down quicker. I was waiting for a cheer that never came. So,
Oh, well.
but it was cool. It was a very cool moment. And to the point of interviewing, like I tried to walk off the wrong way and they're like trying to steer me out the right way. And I'm too exhausted to know what the hell they're telling me. It was a really funny thing. It's like, I don't know how games athletes do this. Like I was praying for death half a dozen times. These
Mm-hmm.
guys just make it look so easy. I feel like I owe every single one of them an apology. So
And then you have me in your face being like, "How do you feel?"
yeah, exactly. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's an adrenaline moment because there were certainly moments in there where, adrenaline was carrying me, and there was moments in that middle workout where I was just like, I don't know how I got through it other than just I was trained enough. Like when I look back at the video, I'm moving fine.
Hmm.
Burpees look good, jumps look fine, sandbags look fine. I'm just so hot, just
Yeah.
dying. Um, so I don't know. It was fun. I think it's one and done. I'm not sure I'd ever do it again, but it was a
Really?
well-run
Okay.
event and um probably my only if these are critiques, and I know they've got space issues and whatever. The warm-up area was a long way from where the event was, and you have a long time between warm up and the event. So that's a little bit of a hassle. The warm up area was kind of disjointed and like hard to find space. Again, it's a big event. Like I'm not blaming them, it's just like things I didn't know to prepare for.
Mhm.
And then the only part I thought could be improved that was weird is you don't actually get the briefing until 5 minutes before you're out on the floor.
Hmm.
Like quite literally, like you're about to walk out on the floor and they're telling you what the workouts are. Now they've announced the workouts and we've seen them, but we had been given no briefing. So I honestly had no idea if we were going to do rope climbs or rope pulls. I didn't know how high the hurdle was going to be. Yeah, I didn't know what kind of barbells we were going to be using. Like the fact we were using shorter barbells was a mystery until we got out there.
Yeah. Yeah, every competition uses the shorty bars because of space issues, from what I understand.
I liked them.
Yeah, they're interesting. They whip different.
Well, I like them because I have two barbells here at home. I have the 35 and the 45, and the 35, most commonly referred to as a women's bar, is a smaller diameter for grip. And so I use it for snatches because I can lock in on a hook grip better. Like I just prefer it. And those shorty bars had the same diameter. And so they were
Mhm.
great, and they're better for cleans too. So
Yeah.
I liked it. I know, some of the other athletes, like I saw Hiller complaining that he couldn't get all of his weights on the bar. And Ben had the same problem in his heat. Like because they're short, there's only so much weight you can put on them. And if you
Mhm.
can lift over 300 pounds, you're kind of screwed, So, not a problem in the scale division, but still, it's just kind of
That
an interesting
yeah.
problem to have,
That's
you know?
interesting. I didn't realize that they didn't brief you guys because the other, like, elites is really all that I know because it's all that I've followed. And they always have like full on briefing sessions morning of or night before or whatever. But I'm guessing there's just so many athletes in so many different community divisions that
Yeah,
they don't have the manpower to be able to. And also, like, you guys don't have the scheduling capabilities. Like, you committed to being there to work out for an hour.
right,
Had they been like, you also must be here, you also must be here, like that
right.
probably also would have been difficult just given that it's a community event. So, but I
Oh, yeah, well,
understand why that's tough for you from an athlete's point of view to go out there and be like, what are we doing? When? Right now? Okay.
literally there's not a complaint on my part. Like, I fully
Yeah.
understand. It's just like, because it's my first time competition, it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. It was cool though. Actually, Bruce is in the chat. Aid Bruce, real name's Alonzo. He was a judge and in the lane next to me, and we had never met before until like the middle of the workout. I'm like, "Hey, I know you." We're like high five
That's
while
so
I'm
funny.
out there dying. Um, that's what's great about these community events, though, is like you meet people you've never met before, and you have moments like that where you meet people on the competition floor you've never
Mhm.
seen before,
Mhm.
in person, which was a lot of fun. So, I really appreciated that, and just kind of I don't know, the excitement of being able to look in the stands and see people that you don't know, but they're there to watch you, and
Yeah.
they're taking videos and pictures and whatever.
Yeah.
I can see the allure of why people want to do the sport. I am not one of those people, but I appreciate why people want to because it's cool. It's a cool moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely, like, it puts you in a different mindset. It, like, hypes you up for everything that we do and all the options that we have and the different ways you can compete and get involved, and
See,
it's
look how
so
nice
fun.
Alonzo is. Says favorite part of the weekend. I'd like to say it was mine,
Oh.
but the drinking was my favorite part. But that part was awesome
Well,
too. No, I'm kidding.
yeah.
No, that was a very cool moment for me to like you have online friends, and then you're on the floor, and you're like, "Hey, online friend, what's going on? High five!" And it's also cool that all these people are volunteering. It's not like these judges are getting paid to do this. They're showing up
Oh,
out of their goodness of their heart to be out on the floor and help us. And my judge, for the record, was freaking awesome. Like,
mm.
I love that dude, and he was not, he was not giving me bro reps. I never got no rep, for the record. And Hiller, if you see this, you can go back and watch the video if you can find it. I think my reps were good.
He's not
But
watching this.
yeah, I know
Like
you never know.
guarantee.
I ran into him. We're friends. You never know. But I did feel like he was watching me intently and being very thoughtful about what I was doing, and and giving me good guidance. But he was also, talking to me in between the workouts and keeping my spirits up. And at some point, he gave me the greatest compliment ever. I want to say we're starting workout 5, and he leaned in. He's like, "Hey, dude, how old are you?" And I'm like, "I'm 52." And he goes, "Man, you wouldn't know it." And I'm like,
Oh.
"Man, that's really nice." It's just a really nice compliment to get. And maybe he was just asking to see if I was still lucid and wasn't about to pass out. I guess that's possible too. But
What day is it and who is the president? Also, how
that's
old are you?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, but that was really cool, to have a judge that you could tell, like, just does it because he loves the sport,
Yeah,
and just and
that's
wants to be out there. So
that's our
it was
entire
cool.
community. It's crazy when I try to like explain to people the almost like the business or like the operations side of CrossFit and of live events. And truly no one understands it. Truly, I don't understand it. I'm like, all right, picture it. It's like a massive event. People from all over the world spend hard earned money to fly there and attend and watch. And it is run primarily like 90% on people who volunteer their time.
Right.
They pay their own way. They maybe, hard maybe, get an event t shirt and potentially a pair of shoes.
So they
Well,
get those
like
shitty
not
running
all the
shoes they gave
time.
everybody.
Yeah, that is
So I hear, allegedly shitty. I didn't get a pair, so I can't speak to it. I want to tell you something funny. I was walking around downtown. I forget when it was. It was like right at a couple of days, like right at the end of the event weekend. And there were just a pair of those running shoes up on top of like a garbage can downtown, just randomly sitting there, all beat up. I'm like, man, somebody hated those shoes so much they just left them on a garbage can somewhere. I'm like,
It's
that's just not
weird. It's weird what happened, and I really actually hate that this happened because I was stoked to get a pair of these. But yeah, yeah, we all got like the volunteers got runners, and a lot of the staff got either runners or trainers. And kind of across the board, all of the backs of our heels were rubbing and like rubbing the skin off, kind of the way that sometimes new shoes do. Sometimes shoes that like just don't fit right, or you got to break them in or whatever, or sometimes they're not good shoes. I don't know, but like it was really across the board. And so I was putting band-aids on the back of my heels because I like, I had to wear them, but I just wanted to break them in and they weren't staying on. So I went to the medical tent and they had cut little moleskin patches, like little circular moleskin patches for everyone. And I swear at the time they had the stack, like they must have had like 300 of them.
right.
And I came back the next day to get new ones because like you get dirt in them or you sweat in them and
Yeah.
the edges were coming off. And they gave me new ones and an alcohol wipe. And they were like, you got to clean your skin really well before you put these on. So they stay for the next 2 days because we're out
Oh,
because
wow.
so many people needed them. And I'm like, I just don't get it. Is it because you got to break them in and they're new or because they just don't fit our feet right? Because I bought Matt tier shoes for his birthday in December and he wears the shit out of them and he loves them. I bought him the trainers.
Yeah, I have the
So,
trainers, they're great, and I'm not shitting on Tier. Like, I they ran a great event. We have no I don't anyway. I know you worked the event, but I have no connection to them whatsoever. So, I'm gonna give my opinion. But their shoes are great. The pair I have, I love, you know. I
yeah,
just heard
I don't know.
everybody complaining about the runners.
I just think I need to break them in or like maybe wear tall because I was wearing like no shows and maybe just wear taller socks with them.
I heard somebody complaining they thought they were like factory seconds or something, like maybe imperfects.
Oh, I
Like,
don't get that vibe at all. I think that
yeah, well, who
sometimes a
knows?
stiffer shoe just needs to be broken in or a shoe with more ankle support. I felt the same way about the Reebok Nano 11s where they were like a little bit
Yeah,
higher up around the ankle and I just needed to wear like a different sock with them, but they're wicked comfortable. But
yeah,
yeah,
they,
the shoes themselves are wicked comfortable and I'll tell you what, no sneaker is comfortable to stand in for like 14 hours, which is how long my days were,
yeah,
but I didn't get any of the like the bottoms of my feet were not sore the way that they have been in the past when I had to wear like nano fours at regionals all
right.
day or whatever. So I actually really like the trainers, but it was just funny that we were all like so many of us volunteers and staff were having the same heel issue, which was hilarious. And I was like, Matt, like, why didn't this happen to you? Like, you've been wearing these shoes since December. He loves them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have ideas like, maybe it's the terrain and the change of climate. Like the Rads I
Yeah,
was
maybe.
wearing, I had those. I had a new pair of Rads, and I've been training in a pair of Rads, and had zero problems with them, and I still love all of them. But the new pair I wore were hurting my left foot for some reason,
Yeah.
just randomly. And then I'd take them off and it'd go away. So my foot's not hurt. It was like clearly there's something going on here, like either the way they're laced up or who knows? And they got
Yeah.
dirty as hell. Like everything down there was filthy.
So dirty. I left one morning, and Matt texted me and was like, "You tracked sand all up into our hotel room." And I was like, "I don't even know what did I even step on sand? Where is there sand?" No idea.
Well, I would say, like, in spite of that shoe thing, I thought Tier put on a really good event.
Oh
I
my god, so good.
I
Yeah.
I thought it was as good as any years past. Obviously it's still live and loud. But I
Loud
thought
and
their
live.
sponsorship was good. I thought their booth was good. I thought Vendor Village was great. I thought
Oh
the
my god,
events
so fun.
events
So
ran
fun.
well. Like,
Yeah.
how was your experience calling the sidelines? I hate to admit it, but I didn't actually watch any of the competition, so I
That's
missed
fine.
virtually all of it.
Totally fair. It was amazing. I loved it. This is like one of my absolute favorite events, and it's been so long since I've had a chance to work it. Actually, the last time I worked it, there was no free stream. I worked for Flow Elite, and it was like just it felt like a different world. Um, so it was so fun. We had just the best grade A, like first class production team, the group called Hamilton Rose with Charlie Doobie and their live sort of like arm with Mike Roth, and then of course like all the people you know and love on the broadcast like Sean and Bill and Chase. It was just like the dream team, really. We can do anything put together, our team can do anything. And so we were not without, the craziness and hassle of live TV where like things change at the last minute and you're battling all sorts of elements that you have no control over. But I just am really proud of what we were able to put together. And I just think the more events that can like bring the people together who really know what they're doing, and not only from experience but also because of just like pure heart. Like we
Right.
will do anything because we love it so much, and it's just like it doesn't matter what goes sideways, like we can handle it, and I just think that's really special. And so I had a great time, and my whole family with me, which was so fun.
And I never saw them. How is that even
Mm,
possible?
that's disgusting. I hate that.
I don't even know how that's possible. I should have texted Matt. I don't like
You
usually I
should
just run
have.
like the place isn't that big. I don't know how I didn't run into him.
Well, I'll tell you how. He didn't spend a ton of time there
Oh,
because, and this is kind of sad. So, like, Matt, oh my God, you guys, everyone needs to send Matt like a high five DM. Just be like, you did a great job. Matt was so on baby duty the entire week that we were down there. And like, he really didn't get a chance to watch a lot of the events because honestly, because it was too loud. It was like too loud for a
yeah. Oh, it's
baby.
very loud. Yeah.
Yeah, super loud. And so he really just like, perused Vendor Village a little and like saw me a little bit and like hung out and watched like a heat or two, but mainly like took Hunter around Miami in the stroller. They spent a ton of time on playgrounds. They hit up one empanada joint over and over because Hunter
Nice.
lives in empanada,
You
and it
take
was
him to
right
the
next
Miami
door.
Strip Club? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, totally. They did all day strip club
Mm.
stuff.
Nice.
No, the empanada joint was right next to, a cocktails to go. place that was like
Perfect.
Matt's new favorite thing because apparently you can do that in Miami. You can just like walk around with
Oh,
drinks.
I love it.
Yeah. So he would go, he would send me a picture every day of Hunter holding an empanada and him holding like a rum runner in a to-go cup.
That's
Like
a
you,
good day.
hey, he's living his best life. So so I was just really grateful. Like it was really fun having them. And he had a good time in that, like you said, like Vendor Village is so fun and the experience is wonderful and everyone is kind. And like, we ran into some internet friends and real life friends and people we hadn't seen in forever. But like I kind of just felt bad that he didn't really get a chance to experience Wadapalooza as much as I wanted him to, as much as he probably wanted to. So we decided two things. First, we decided that like probably games and Wadapalooza are like the two big fun events that like the whole fam is
Mhm.
going to go to. Um, and that we also decided to like bring a sitter with us
That's
next
a good
time.
plan.
Like bring my mom or something like that. You know what I mean? To just kind of like help so that everyone can get a little bit of a break. And so Matt can actually like watch the events. But I just
Right.
felt bad that I was like, hey, can you come to Miami with me to Wadapalooza and actually not go to Wadapalooza? And oh, I have a party on Saturday night. And if you could just go to bed at 7 p.m. with the baby, that would be great. Thanks.
Nice. I should bring one of my daughters. They'd do baby duty for you.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. And there were very sweet people who offered, including the Paulsons. God, love the
Oh,
Paulsons
you should have taken them up. They'd
so
be perfect.
much. I know. And Rothy offered too. Like we did think about it, but it was just Hunter was sleeping like such crap, like total garbage. Anyone with kids listening knows that the 18-month sleep regression is so real.
Yep.
So that means that the next event, like if I get called to semis, which I really hope that I am, but I won't know probably for a couple months. That'll probably be my first time away,
Mhm.
like away for real, more than like a 2-day work trip or something. And so also means I'm going to like try to figure out how to deal with like night weaning or at least getting better sleep between now and the spring, which is a huge mom goal, milestone,
Right.
whatever, and is currently causing me lots of anxiety. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Well, if you go to semis, particularly the Orlando one, my girls are coming with me for that one. So if you wanted to bring Hunter, I'm going to have a 21 and 18-year-old with me or a 19-year-old that could fill in some. So
It's interesting. It was interesting to hear Matt talk about how like he had a really good time, but he doesn't want to come to like every event with us and he's
that's
ready
fair.
to also, yeah, it's totally fair. And he was like also he's ready to have like alone time, him and Hunter like home, which they've never
Yeah.
had before. They've never be able to like they've never had like a bro weekend where
Yep.
I don't know if
Boy
you know
time.
this. Every time I've been working for CrossFit for like 10 years now. Every time I leave for an event for a weekend, Matt has a ritual. He goes to Trader Joe's and he buys what he calls bachelor food, right? Which
That's a
is,
thing. It's a thing.
yeah. Well, what do you think it is? Because I guarantee he does not buy what you think it is.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, yeah, I don't know. I would think it's Pop Tarts and Hot Pockets and frozen pizzas and things that are easy to make. What's he buy?
Frozen fish sticks.
Mm, same thing, frozen food. Yeah,
Yeah,
things that are
frozen
easy.
food.
Pop them in the oven, you're done. Like
Yeah.
things you don't make for your girl, but things you make for yourself.
Yeah, and things you don't eat often. So that's he like always has had like a really fun time
Yeah.
doing that for himself. And so I think he's like stoked to do that with the baby and have like a little bro time at home.
Like
So we'll
Nikki,
see.
all dudes are like, yeah, baby, I can cook. And in reality, they're making fish sticks. All
I
right. So
mean,
and when the girl's coming over, they're whipping out some sort of recipe book and like just pulling it out of their ass to make it look like they actually like to do this shit, but they're not, So I know like
mhm.
bachelor food is code for easy food.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
frozen
and
pizza,
junk
fish
food,
sticks, yeah, Pop Tarts,
chips.
chips, dip.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
He's
Exactly.
Hunter's gonna be living his best life those weeks, man.
He is. He is. He's already king of the puffs. That's like all he ate the entire time. Oh, can I tell you this? The reason why we traveled great. He traveled great. He's so amazing. Like we're so lucky. But the reason that he traveled great is because I like anxiety mom packed snacks like we were going away for 3 months with no access to the grocery store.
I love it.
It was like every time he like kind of turned his nose up, like he was about to start fussing on the plane, I was like, "What do you want? You want puffs? You want drops? You want bars? You want like?" I was
You know, some weed gummies, we got those too. You're good to go.
truly. I was
Awesome.
like, "Do you want just straight Benadryl? I have that."
Hey, let's talk about how awesome our party was.
Oh my god, my
All right,
heart is still so full.
all right. First of all, I have to give a shout out to Jessica, who's the owner of Downtown Strength and Conditioning. We're gonna
Oh
have
my
her on the
god.
show. I want to have her
Yes.
on the show to talk about it more. Mostly talk about like the great work she's doing in the community and the gym she runs because it's really kind of a special place. But let me give you a rundown of how this went down. So, like when
Okay.
you and I started talking, months ago, and I like threw the idea at you, hey, what do you think about a happy hour? And as usual, you're like, whatever, Willie, do whatever you want.
I was
I
like,
messaged,
"Oh, yeah."
yeah, sure. What, free drinks? Okay, I'm in.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I messaged Jessica and I'm like, hey, I'm wanting to do this, but I'd love to do it at your gym. What do you think? She quite literally just goes, I got you. Now, I didn't know what that meant. She just goes, I got you. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, you know. So we get close to the event. We hadn't even really talked about it. Like a couple months go by. And I message her and I'm like, hey, we're still going to do this. Can we solidify a time? And she's like, yeah, let me get with the guy running the event. I forget his name, Dustin or whatever his name is, and figure out, kind of the best time for it. And so she picked the time, Saturday night. I'm like, all right, well, let me send you some money and let's start planning. She's like, no, 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 I got you. And again, I don't know what that means. Next thing I know, she's gone out and bought 20 bottles of champagne, about, one of those huge bottles of vodka, God knows how many high noons and Trulies and like all the basic white bee drinks that CrossFitters drink, and Modelo's and a couple of rum drinks I'd never heard of before. And all of a sudden we're just the place just full of alcohol. And then
Yeah. Oh,
O2
yeah.
comes in. Yeah, and then O2 messaged me and it's like, hey, we want to be there. And so they come in, and so now we're doing mimosas with the champagne. And she had a photo booth and high top tables and
And a
and
DJ.
a DJ and a light show, a freaking
Yep.
light show. Like, come on. Like, seriously, like, Jessica, yeah, I don't know if you're going to hear this, but I love you. Like,
It
you are
was
literally my hero. And, just props to all the people. Like, I think we had like 350, 400 people that showed up over the course of the 3 hours. And I was just blown away, like, absolutely blown away by the number of people that came and like how much fun it was. And I got to do my basic white dead dance moves. Like, it was great.
yes.
It was super
It was
fun.
so fun. I love just meeting people, like meeting internet friends, meeting listeners, meeting people. I had so many awesome conversations with total strangers
Yeah.
who I feel like are friends or people. I love when people are like, I feel like I know you. And I'm like, weird. I feel like I know you too. Like it's not just a one-way thing. It's like I know you listen and we interact on Instagram or wherever. And it was so special meeting people in real life. I loved it. I loved
Uh,
everything. Let's do it again. Let's have
here,
a
here,
podcast meetup.
here's what was fun for me. So you were ear to ear smiles the entire time you were there. And I
Yes.
don't get to see you with people that I would consider fans like very often. Like, I know we have before, but not in like that kind of a setting. And for me, it was kind of touching to get to see you with people that, really like your work, like what you do, you know? And so that was really, and how grateful you were for that was like really cool. And then when
Aw.
Danny was there, so Danny Spiegel shows up, and first of all, she's mad at me because
Me too.
she's dressed to the nines. She looks amazing, as
Like,
Danny
so
always does.
beautiful,
Oh my
and,
god,
like,
she was gorgeous.
we walked over from the venue, like, I had, like, a hat on, it was freezing cold, and she was in,
Right.
like, a beautiful, puffy, kind of like, I'm sure it was not real, but, like, fur coat
It could have
thing,
been
it was, like,
real. It could have been
stunning.
real. You don't know with Danny. You just never
It's
know.
true,
She
it's
looks
true.
great. Like, Danny's
Amazing.
beautiful anyway, but she looked exceptionally beautiful. And she comes in and she's like, you SOB, you didn't tell me this wasn't a dress up party. I'm like, you didn't ask if it was a dress up party. Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah,
But she comes in and we take some photos. But here was my like, I already knew this about her, but I've never seen it live. So every person that talked to her, Danny acted like that was the only person on the planet that mattered.
yeah.
That
Mhm.
was it. Like, she was so locked into what they're saying, and some of these people were, like, giving their life story. God bless them, like, telling everything they loved about her and how they've impacted her, and Danny just sat there and listened to every single word, and I'm not talking
Everyone.
like 1 or 2 people. I'm talking, like, dozens upon dozens. Like, I
Yep.
barely talked to her because she was just constantly getting asked for photos and people wanting, 5 minutes of her time. And it was just really impressive how incredibly grateful she was for each and every person. Like, it's very easy when people are telling you how awesome you are to go, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I'm great," and to blow them off. And in her case, it was the opposite. Like, you could tell she was humbly just accepting it and so grateful for their feedback. It was really, like, kind of a beautiful moment, and I was like,
Mhm.
"This is why I love her. This is why she's
Yeah.
one of my favorite people," you know?
Truly, it's truly special. I always find it, like, really heartwarming and special when the athletes take so much time. Like, there were so many people lined up, and she was like, "Absolutely. I'm thinking about leaving until I talk to and take photos with anyone here who wants that opportunity." And then she Irish goodbyed for real because I was like, "Where did she go?"
Yeah, I was trying to walk her out, and we got stopped, like, half a dozen times on the way
Yeah,
out the
yeah.
door, you know? But it
Yeah.
was fun, and we stayed late, like, you had to leave. I think we stayed, Bruce is in the chat, he can confirm this. I think we were there till, like, 11:30, I'm pretty sure,
Dang.
and then I walked back to the hotel and got stopped in the hotel bar, and then I was up to 2:30 or close to 3 probably.
Oh my gosh, you should have texted me. I was awake too because the baby was awake from 1 to 4:30.
Oh, you should come and partied with us. We were having fun in the hotel bar over at the
I
Intercontinental.
should have. I should
It was cool,
have.
though. It was, I don't know what the right way to describe it. It was humbling and fun, and I got to meet so many people that I had never met before that listened to the show. And you forget. Like, I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, I forget sometimes people actually listen to the stuff and they like take stock in our opinions and
Yeah.
the things we're looking at, and they appreciate it. And like, you lose that when you don't talk to people daily or on the regular. And
Yeah.
so it's very humbling and special and different, and I can't even tell enough gratitude of how happy I was there were that many people there, and how much it meant to me. So,
I love it. We should
it was
do it
great.
at every event that we end up at.
I think we're gonna do it at the games.
OMG.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
partner with Ben for the other podcast, Scale and Bale. Ben has a place, that we used last year. I was kind of a part of it last year, but it was really a wide prep party. But we kind of positioned it with, "Hey, John will be there too," and a bunch of people showed up. And it's a cool bar, and I think we can do that again,
Okay.
and make it kind of a joint, kettlebells and cocktails and scale and bale and wad prep, and really
Yeah.
pack the place. It's
Let's
not a
do
huge
it.
place though, but it would be fun. It'd be a lot of
I'm
fun.
in. I'm in. I will tell Matt to watch the baby
Yeah.
again so I can party without him. Actually, I'm actually really excited for games. Um we just booked the trip to go with like our best friends who also have a young baby. And so it's going to be really fun having like the two couples and the two young kids and figuring out like okay, moms are going to go do this or dads are going to push the strollers around or whatever. I'm just excited. Like it's going to be fun. I always have to work. And the last couple of years has been fun because Matt has been with me and I've gotten to share, I have very little downtime, but I've gotten to share that downtime with him. I've never really had like friends come with me. There have been years where friends kind of like were there on their own or showed up, or I just sort of saw them around. But like this, I feel like because they got a house and I probably will have to stay on site or part of both just to kind of like get to meetings and
Right.
6 a.m. call time or whatever it's going to be. But I just feel like for the first time ever, we're really like kind of planning a little group trip. Maybe more friends will come with us too. And in my very small amount of downtime, it'll be really special to share it with
I love it.
people I love. Yeah.
Did I tell you I ran into Don Fall multiple times?
I did not see him. That's not fair.
Not
What
only
the
run into him,
heck?
but I got a chance to talk to him several times. So, it was funny. First of all, I'm always impressed by this guy,
Truly.
always. And, I know I'm gonna get shit for being in cahoots, but
Right.
I'm trying to remain cautiously optimistic, like,
Yeah.
with the whole issue with Eric and all that crap that went down, like, I'm like, all right, I want to like stay at a distance, pal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let me make
Okay.
sure you're the real deal. But first day I saw him, I was walking through the Intercontinental, and I will set this up in the fact that he's been on our podcast one time.
Mhm.
So, and I had met him in person one time. So we physically have laid eyes on each other twice, and we swapped DMs maybe 3 times. So
Okay.
it's not like I've had a ton of interactions with the guy,
It
right?
sounds like you're completely in cahoots.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I'm setting up because it's important. So I'm walking through the Intercontinental. I'm about 30 yards away. He looks me square in the eye and he goes, "Hey, John," just like that, like instant recognition.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that to make myself look good. Like that's, like people that are leaders and typically like you hear this often about people like Bill Clinton and Obama
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Bush and presidents usually, but also CEOs. They're really good at recognizing people and remembering names. Like that's a sign
Yeah.
of like a really sharp mind.
Mhm.
And so
Also serial killers, just throwing
yeah,
that out
also
there.
serial killer. So I guess there is
Mhm.
that. But that moment was cool. But then I ran into him over at the affiliate tent. They have the CrossFit tent there outside of Vendor Village. And I had my co-owner Jen was with me, and he gave her about 15 minutes of time. And again, like kind of like Danny, he locked in on her, and the world could have been burning down. He was focused on what she was telling him, and he was asking real questions. Like when we talked to Eric, who I like, so this is not a slam on Eric. I felt like when Eric asked questions, he he was kind of looking past you. Like he's asking the questions he knows he needs to ask, but he knows what he wants to do. I feel
Hmm.
like when Don asks questions, he's asking the questions he wants answers to so he can do something about it,
Hmm.
which is really there's a huge difference there. And so
Yeah.
he was really asking her really pointed questions around what can they do better and what did she think of this and what did she think of that and how have we done here. Um, which I thought was really cool. It was also kind of funny. Like he said to me, like at the end, he's like, "Hey, if there's ever anything we need to do better, please let us know." And I'm like, "Oh, Eric, so sorry, Don, you'll see it in the memes, you know." And he's like, "Oh, we know we will," which I thought was funny that he thought that was clever,
Yeah.
like they're
Yeah.
kind of wanting that. And so
Yeah.
I came away. This is second or third time I've talked to him, but kind of the first time in a enclosed setting where I'm really impressed with him. And, again, my cautious optimism is moving far closer to just pure optimism that we're absolutely on the right track and that, he's making a lot of good decisions. So I'm feeling pretty good about him. It was cool. Very cool moment.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm disappointed I didn't get a chance to meet him, but it's on my to-do list. Maybe the next
He's a
one.
super nice guy. He's really, he's
Yeah.
funny. Like we we were walking back into the Intercontinental a couple of days later, and he was coming out, and he held the door open for us. And I was carrying a box as the swag for our party, and I was carrying the box. And he's like, "Oh, I'll get the door for you." I'm like, "Well, I've been waiting for you to hold the door open for me, Don." And he's like, "I'm just here to serve, John. Just here to serve." You
Where
know.
is this swag for our party?
Well, I had some backpacks. I gave one to Jessica, and I gave one to a
Fun.
fan of the show that I knew separately, and then we had two that we gave to uh, Forging Youth Resilience, and they auctioned them
Yes.
off. And we actually, I don't know if you know this, we raised $500 for their charity at that party,
Yeah,
by
no,
the
I
way.
know. I'm well aware, and it was actually the first time I really had a chance to sit down and chat with them for a little while on
Yep,
the recent efforts and everything else that they had going on. So I was very grateful for that
yep.
moment to get a better understanding of where they're at, which they're doing some really amazing things.
Well, they do great things. They're giving mentorship to young kids that live in kind of, we'll just call them tough neighborhoods or, under resourced neighborhoods, and they give them mentorships and put them through fitness and teach them this and get them scholarships. And it's just a great program. And I had invited them, and I went to Tupood and said, "Hey, can we get some merch?" And they gave me some backpacks and our belts and our t-shirts and some tape, some workout tape, and we bundled them all up and we auctioned off a couple of those. And they had a couple of things they auctioned off and raised $500 at that party, and that's pretty
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
like helping their charity. And we're going to do a lot more work with them, for sure. Cause they're just, they're helping a lot of young kids, and it's a cool charity to work with. So
I love
it was
that.
good stuff. And thanks to Tupood for doing that, because
Oh my god, yeah.
they certainly didn't have to, but it was good stuff. So what was
This
your,
it was
I was gonna say, what's your favorite part of the week? You bundled it up? Do you have one favorite thing or multiple things?
mm, I think the party was my favorite thing. So we already talked about that. So I think my second favorite thing was getting to cover the team competition because it's just so unique to Wadapalooza, like that 3-person team. And teams were so stacked and they were like so many fun, big names that were working out together that, sometimes you see them together all the time, like the boys. But sometimes it's like a really
Right,
weird team, like the Roman Krenikov,
right,
you know what I mean? Where, oh my God, I'm blanking on names because they were in my brain so hard last week that they're not now. Willie George, where like they don't speak this, like
right.
none of them speak the same language on that team. Like what the heck? And it was just so fun and different and unique and special. And so covering that was really, really fun for me.
I think for me it was, see, it occurred to me kind of middle of the week that events like this, whether it's Wadapalooza or the games or whatever, is like it's like almost like a family. You're reuniting with family.
Mhm.
And just seeing all these people I don't get to see very often. And some of it, and meeting people you only talk to online. And I had so many instances like that. Like I'll give you a few. Like I'm standing in Vendor Village. I was meaning probably like posting something, and here's somebody go, "Oh, hey, mate," and I turn around. It's James Newberry, right? Who stopped to talk to me. Now he's wearing glasses and a hat, so nobody knows who he is, but he stopped to talk to me. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, is this really happening? Like, James is like a guy I've always looked up to, but he's stopping because he saw me and he knows me. We've somehow become friendly or friends. Um, I had another moment at Downtown Strength. I went down there to work out, and Freya Mooseburger was there with Pat
Oh
Fellner.
yeah, great.
And I've never met her in person. But as soon as I came in, she's like, "John," and she gives me a hug. And she's like,
Oh,
"I'm here working out with Pat." Next thing I know, I'm on the Echo Bike next to Pat, and I look like an idiot because I'm barely pedaling, and he's just, you know, just railing off 50 calories in a minute. It's ridiculous.
mm.
Um, and Freya's next to me. I literally turned to her and I'm like, "Don't be intimidated by this fitness, Freya. Like, I know I'm probably stressing you out." Um, but then beyond that, it was like meeting people I've only talked to online that aren't athletes was just as cool for me. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like running into James and running into Freya because they're athletes. Oh, I'm such a big deal. No, it's like meeting Alonzo, for instance, on the floor was really cool. We have a fan of the show. Her name's Mary. And I love this woman so much. Like she comments on everything. She listens to all of our shows, like does it all. And I saw her half a dozen times while I was there. And like getting to meet people like that is just gives you these cool moments. Matter of fact, you'll love this, Nikki. I'm in the
Yeah.
stands afterwards talking to her, and she listens to Scale and Bale as well as this show. And on Scale and Bale, for those that haven't listened to it, we give tips about what to do in workouts and how to scale workouts and when you should take breaks and when you shouldn't and that sort of thing. And she says to me, was watching my workout. She had watched the whole thing from end to end. She's like, "Hey, John, I have a question." And she's really sweet. She goes, "Hey, John, I have a question for you." I'm like, "What's that?" She's like, "Well, I was watching you out there in the burpees and the D-ball workout. And on Scale and Bale, you always say, don't rest at the bottom when you're on the ground, rest to the top when you're fully standing so you can breathe. But you were resting at the bottom the whole time. What was going
She
on?"
called you out on your bullshit.
I know. I'm like, "I was tired. What do you want from me?" Like I was
Oh,
exhausted. But getting to meet, people like that,
I love that.
it was just really a
Yeah.
special moment. We saw Craig and Jazz, they came on the show while we were
So
there.
fun. Yeah.
And I don't know. I could probably sit here and just talk about the 100 people I had a chance to talk to, but just really special. It's like being back with family, you
Yeah,
know?
it does it totally feels like a family reunion. It always feels that way too for me with the people that I work with. Like some of my very, very best friends in the world are the MC team that I've just known now for like 10 years. And that's like
Right.
Logan and Britt and Mike and Larry and those people. And whenever we get together, it totally feels like Christmas because
Yeah.
it's like they feel like family. I talk to them all year round. Like they're very, very close friends of mine, but we see each other like 2, 3 times a year. And so it's like, you can't hug hard enough. Like you
Right.
really can't. It's so wonderful when we all have a
Well,
chance to be together. And I like barely got a chance to see them this time. Ugh,
we could do a
so
whole
sad.
episode on Larry's mustache, actually, if we wanted to,
Y- And you should.
and we
It's a
should.
thing of beauty.
It really is.
I don't know, did he tell you that he like so Larry is like a consummate a CrossFit MC, but he's also like a SWAT sergeant.
Yeah, he's a
He's so
cop. Yeah,
badass. He's
he's a
so
hardcore cop.
badass.
He's great.
Um, and he was telling me that like one of his crowning achievements was like editing the beard and mustache rule for his unit where it's like
Right.
it's been like 15 years in the making. He's been trying to make it so that he can grow a damn like Fu Manchu or whatever. And he finally did it because I saw him and I was like, Bugs, that caterpillar on your lip. What's happening? And he was like, I'm finally doing it. And he felt so happy about it. So these little things you don't know behind the people who are the voices of
I love it
CrossFit.
so much. You know what's funny to me about us is like it just occurred to me we've been talking for an hour. We've yet to talk about a single person that won an event.
Right. The
Like,
athletes. Would you like to
we're-
recap what
no,
happened?
I don't. I don't want to recap the athletes. I don't care about the events. It was fun seeing them. There are plenty of shows that do that. All the other
True.
shows do a great job recapping the events. Go listen to all of them. Coffee Pods and Wads, Clydesdale, Savan Show. I know you don't want me to say that, but they all do a great job. Like, go listen to those. I don't care, but that's not our thing.
Yeah.
I like seeing them. They're fun, and running into the athletes is cool. It was good to see Ricky win. No offense to those that didn't win.
Hell
But
yeah. No, I mean, if people are offended by that, then like move on. Come on.
yeah. No, I thought it was great.
Like,
And I thought the team events were fun. I thought Paige Powers winning, like I didn't see that coming. Oh, and
she
I need to
crushed.
admit on the air, you were right. I told this to Danny, by the way. I need to tell you the story. So on our last show, on our preview for Wza, you said Danny was going to make the podium, and I said,
Yep.
nope, she's not going to. And she made the podium. And so when she came to our party, I'm like, Danny, I got to apologize to you. Niki called you making the podium, and I said, you ain't got a chance. Like I straight up told her, I'm like,
You ain't shit.
I'm like, Danny, I love you, but I didn't think you had a chance, and you killed it, And she laughed and she gave me a hug. Um, and I still feel bad, because I wasn't rooting against her, but I hate. You have close friends. You're like, you want them to win, but you're not sure they can, And
Oh my God. You could have tossed a coin and named any one of
sure,
those athletes on the female roster. Oh, any roster. Every field was stacked, every single one.
yeah,
So
oh yeah,
that
yeah.
made it fun though. That made it like solid as far as competition goes.
You know what else is weird this year? I noticed this first year I've noticed this. At the games, these athletes can't walk around. And I know why the difference is. Like in Miami, it's full of people from Florida, typically. I know there's a lot of people flying in, but there
Mhm.
are a lot of Floridians there,
Mhm.
which means they're not the hardcore CrossFit fans. They're just CrossFitters that want to come down for the party. At the games, if you go to the games, you're a hardcore fan, right? And so these guys can't walk around. I ran into Justin Medeiros 3 or 4
Mhm.
times
Yeah.
just walking around. Like, he was kind of jogging to where he wanted to go so he wouldn't get stopped 1,000 times. But you don't see those guys even backstage at the games because they can't even move without getting mobbed.
Yeah, that's true. I think too, like just vibe wise, like this is not a CrossFit competition. We are out of season. And so
Yep.
I think that the pressure is really off for the athletes. Like it's
Right.
wicked fun. And Bruce is saying it. We like to party.
Yeah, it's a party. It's just
It
a
is a
big
party.
party.
It's wicked fun, and it's an excellent kind of like test to see just generally where people are at before the open. But like in their training cycles, no one's peaking right now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so it's really just chill. It's
Yep.
just a far different vibe. Like everything is on the line when we get to the games. And granted, like, yes, people are like working out for money, and it's not just all fun and games when you're a CrossFit athlete. Like you gotta be serious if you want to do
Yeah.
well. But even the 3-person competition, like there's no chance you can't qualify for shit. So it's just fun. And I just think that makes it like a totally different atmosphere.
I was trying to think of anything else I wanted to talk about. I had to give a shout out. I don't know how often you got in Vendor Village. I ran into Travis, who runs Vindicate T-shirt company, and have kind of known that guy online for a while. Super dude, makes great stuff. Dude was working his ass off. Next to him was Paper Street Coffee, and Gabe, the guy that owns it, came over and gave me some nitro coffee and a hot coffee in the middle of the day because I must have looked like I was dying. And he saved my
Oh,
effing life.
nice.
And this is non-sponsored. He has not asked me to do this, but I'm telling you, his coffee's freaking great. So if you guys want to
Ooh.
buy some great coffee, go to Paper Street Coffee and get some. It was amazing, and a super nice dude. And he didn't have to do that, and he did. And I just really appreciated it. So
Nice. I have
yeah,
shout outs. Shout out to the Proven team. They gave me a jacket when I was freezing my
oh,
buns
that's cool.
off.
I saw
Oh my
Shane. I
God.
talked to Shane.
Yes, I did too. Which was really fun. I had a chance to chat with him a little bit about just like what their year is looking like. So this is
Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Me
So,
too.
obviously, like they're so excited to welcome their little bundle of joy. And he said to me that it was interesting because, of course, there have been times in the past where they've taken a break from training, maybe due to illness or injury, and volume was way down. But there's always been the goal, the immediate goal to get back to it. It's like, oh, as soon as we're healed up, or like as soon as we feel better, or whatever it may be. And so, because Tia has taken the volume way down because she's truly finding a brand new way to listen to her body, this is the first time that they've really entered a season where the volume has been so low and there is no immediate goal. And I just think that that is really profound because it is such a shift in mindset and it's such a shift in priority. And it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful to see. But the one thing that he did say that I thought was also very interesting was, a lot is pending, a lot about how she feels, a lot about how delivery goes, a lot about how having a child kind of like affects them in their lives. A lot of that is pending. But he did say that there's a little bit of a goal on the horizon to be somehow involved in a CrossFit competition by the end of
All right,
2023. So, like,
good.
in what capacity? He said he didn't know. And I think
She'll
that's
probably
interesting.
still
It's
win the
like,
game.
she'll probably still win the games. But it's like, does she enter like a community division somewhere, or a team
Oh,
thing, or a scaled thing, or that will be really interesting to me. Or does she just like, give birth and then just go do ring muscle ups? Who
my
knows? I don't
prediction: Tia wins the games. Her baby finishes second. Mal finishes third. That's my prediction.
know.
Boom.
Entirely possible. But
Done.
I thought that was a great conversation, and just the pride in Shane's voice in talking about like his growing family is really, it could bring a tear to my eye. It was really, really wonderful.
I know, I'm like, bro, you're the
So
first
yeah.
person to knock Tia off the podium in 7 years. Good job, buddy.
Meow,
Like, man,
meow.
good
Yeah.
for
So
you.
shout out to them also because they had jackets and it was so cold. It was so cold, John. It was so
Yeah,
cold.
I know. It
Oh
was 40
God.
degrees. I'm sure you were dying. It was
I was
terrible.
losing it. I had to be out, like, I was out there not moving, just in the cold. So it felt
Right.
extra cold. And by the second day of cold weather for teams at the end of the weekend, I was wearing leggings under my pants. It was really rough. But
I
yeah,
do
so
want
that
to
was
say,
fun.
because I don't really know him that well, so this isn't like, oh, just like talking about a buddy. Like, I only kind of know Shane. Like, we've talked, I don't know, less than half a dozen times, and never in person ever.
Oh,
And that he is the nicest dude.
truly.
Like, really,
Yeah.
like, he really, like, I mean, he knew me when he saw me. I'm like, hey, Shane. He's like, oh, hey, John. And we sit there and we talked for 15 minutes, and he's engaging, and like, he pays attention. And, I like, that's a big thing to me, is like, if you're talking to somebody, are they looking at you or are they looking past you?
Hmm.
And he's like focused on you. And, he's a nice guy. So, and I
Yeah.
knew they were nice anyway. So it's just nice, like, in person, to see that play to be actual fact.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool moment. So,
Yeah. So that was a lovely catching up with him. Also, oh my God, shout out to Mike Halpin, who is my stage manager, but was also like, he's like this analytical brain. He's kind of like we've talked about Brian Friend, we've talked about Chad Schroeder. Like there are some really wonderful people who work within the CrossFit
What?
space.
We have a tongue.
Oh, a bean tongue.
Tongue
Hi,
sticking out. What is wrong
handsome.
with you, buddy?
Tired.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but Bean
Oh
wanted
no,
to
that's
come on.
fine. There are a couple really great people who work within the CrossFit space who are just like total data nerds, and they can like regurgitate so and so had this lift and set this record at this competition, and she won this event back in 2015, so she's probably going to do well on this here. And it's like they just know this stuff. And Mike was like that, so he was my stage manager, and he was like my direct comms to the truck, but he also helped so much in guiding the things that we all said on the broadcast. And so that was really helpful.
That's awesome.
And then just, a million other people who helped all weekend.
You need to get to semis. We'll have fun in Orlando.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. We'll see. I don't know. I never like to say until like my, plane tickets are officially booked or whatever, but I've not heard anything yet about who's doing what. So,
well,
Bean looks drunk.
Bean does look drunk. Why is his tongue sticking out like this?
Why? It's like still out. What if you touch it? Would he bite you?
No, well, I'm rubbing his tummy. He likes this. He likes sitting up and sitting in my lap like this. He's an idiot.
He's an idiot.
He is. He's been in a weird place since I got home. He, was gone for a whole week, obviously, like a full week, and which I rarely do. And he was out of sorts, man. When I got home, like he has not left me alone. He has been all over me all week long. It's been fun. It's like having a baby. He did.
It is like having a baby.
He's ruining his reputation of being a jerk. Well,
give it another week. You'll get right back there.
Well, it was a fun week. We finally got our picture together. We got a couple of pictures together. So that was super fun. We got some pictures of Danny, which we don't get to do very often. So that was fun too. And now we've got to look forward to semis and the games and figure out what else happens in between all of that. So
stuff happens in between that. I guess the open.
Hopefully,
happens.
I have a bunch of stuff in the works, Nikki. I have a bunch of stuff in the works.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna say I really do. It's a lot of stuff even I haven't told you about, and that we'll get to off the air. But because you just never know like what's going to come to fruition, what isn't. But
yeah, of course.
I'm excited about the future CrossFit, what's going on, the direction of the company, and the fans, and just the growth and my affiliate and everything else. So I think it's going to be a good year for us.
I agree.
And we'll have some fun guests coming up as soon as I can get them all booked.
Please.
So what we will have coming up, we'll have 2 episodes from the games. We had Craig and Jazz from Hustle Made and Team Richie on YouTube, which is where most people know them. So I have not even listened back to these, so I can't even promise like what they're going to sound like. And then we had Carbon Fiber John from he's an adaptive athlete, missing his leg from the knee down, and really inspirational dude. That was a fun conversation, and the cutest dog ever with him. A little
best dog.
Yeah, best boy. And that was a fun conversation. I think we need to get him back in a quieter setting at some point. But we'll release those, in a few days, and everybody can hear them. And then, we'll get back to our regular routine. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
All right. Well, this has been fun as always.
Yeah, I'm so glad we got a chance. Yeah, and I'm so glad we got a chance to just talk through like our experiences, because it was so fun.
I barely saw you. That was my only regret from the entire week. By the week was over, I'm like, damn, I only saw Nikki like 2 or 3 times at the most. And it was when we were podcasting.
True.
I mean, I expect that because you're working, but at the games, I feel like I run into you. And I feel like the production crew at Wadapalooza is like kind of insulated. Like you have to be backstage. And I didn't have a VIP pass or a media pass. And I wasn't even trying to like go watch the event. So I just wasn't seeing you at all. It was just like, that's my only kind of disappointment. But,
we also had like no breaks. It was like truly like start the broadcast first thing in the morning, and then like until 8:30 we're still in meetings and doing stuff. So I'm tired.
All right. Well, you need to go to bed. And for everyone listening, appreciate you guys joining us tonight. And we'll be back with you guys soon. Have a good night.